Robertson!
Perhaps at least all of us on this side of the House can agree that the greatest contribution from Scotland is to show that there is actually an alternative to the destructive policies of this UK Tory government. It's worth remembering that in Scotland we have free prescriptions, free eye tests, free childcare, free university tuition. We've scrapped bridge tolls, we've reopened railways, we've invested in infrastructure, we're building more council houses than any UK nation. That is what the SNP has delivered in government in Scotland. Does he not agree that this stands in marked contrast to the Tories' mismanagement and destruction of public services south of the border?
Brendan McNeill.
Mr. Speaker, in the last few years, Iceland and Ireland have leapfrogged the UK in terms of growth and indeed deficit reduction, and have always had a higher GDP in the last 10 years. Norway's oil fund is now 920 billion, having grown from 815 billion, a growth of 105 billion. The equivalent figures for the UK are 0, 0 and 0.
It's not the time. It's what the Prime Minister says to the Scottish Parliament as it wants to let Scotland decide its own future and its own relationship with Europe. But now is the time for the screeching U-turn in this opportunistic general election. Does he also believe it's therefore also the time for the Scottish people to once again reject this government's austerity obsession, its assault on the poor, the obnoxious raid clause and its desire to drive Scotland over the cliff edge of its hard Brexit?
Scotland voted to remain in the EU and the single market, but the Scottish Government's paper that would have kept Scotland in the single market and the UK was roundly ignored by the Tory UK Government, intent on pursuing a reckless hard Brexit. Can the Secretary of State for Scotland tell us what personal action he took to convince the Prime Minister to take account of the views of the people of Scotland, and can he provide an explanation for why he failed?
As a last act of kindness, and while he still has his seat and his position, will he address the issue of the closure of the HMRC office in my Livingston constituency, threatening 1,000 jobs with a move to Edinburgh? Cross-party group of politicians have written to him, including his own party. He has ignored this. His last swan song. Will he come to Livingston and save those jobs?
Can the Minister tell us what assessment he has made of the contribution of Scotland to the EU single market?
The Secretary of State has previously said that he supports the European single market, that being part of the single market was clearly the best possible deal for Scotland. I wonder if the Secretary of State could tell his constituents, will he now stand in a manifesto to take Scotland out of that single market?
55% of Canada's exports go to the US, whereas only 63% of Scotland's exports go to the rest of the UK. Canada is a successful independent country. Does the Secretary of State agree with me that neighbouring countries can have close trading relations while still maintaining their sovereignty?
Of course, countries can have close trading relationships.
The value of Scottish exports of food and drink have doubled in the past 10 years, 5.5 billion in 2016. However, this week James Withers, the ex-chief executive of Scotland Food and Drink, said that he was afraid of the consequences of leaving the European Union, not having a trade deal and tariffs. Will the Secretary of State guarantee that the Scottish food and drink sector will not have to deal with that situation with tariffs?
Does the Secretary of State stand by his comments last year when he said, "My role is to ensure Scotland gets the best possible deal involving clearly being part of the single market"? Will he be honest with his constituents in a few weeks' time? Are they voting for an MP who supports staying in the single market, or are they voting for an MP who wants to go along with a damaging, hard Brexit, whatever it's cost to families and businesses in his constituency?
Quotes about doing the day job when you're calling an early general election is really a bit... Let's rest on a neutral observer, not the Tory party research officer. What about the director of the Institute of Health and Society? And he said, and I'm quoting his words here, "Scotland is in a much stronger position than England with respect to both health and social care." He went on to say, the problem at the moment is that the English government is not committed to a national health service. Isn't this just another example that the real alternative to the Tory UK government is the progressive policies of the SNP?